Happy Monday, everybody, and welcome into Chicago Bears Now. We made it, folks. Training camp has sort of started. The first full practice isn't until Wednesday, but rookies and quarterbacks have reported. Veterans report tomorrow, and Bears football is in the air. We are almost into the month of August. It's a great time of year. I am back from vacation, and I'm ready to go. It's go time. It's that time. So happy to have all of you guys hanging out here on a Monday. Producer Cullen is here as well. Let us know where you guys are tuning in from. And the dog days are mostly over, Cullen. It's not full speed ahead, but full steam ahead, however you want to say it. But there's real football to discuss in the near future. So it's exciting.
Yeah, you made the comment, I believe, on the AM video that NFL football will be played in 10 days' time.
Yes.
Which is pretty crazy to say. And again, people will debate, is football truly back when the Hall of Fame game happens, yada, yada, yada. I'm here for it. I will be watching.
I'll take any football I can get.
Yes.
Will I do some kind of reaction to the Hall of Fame game on Forverts? Probably. So, yeah, it's exciting and it's just fun to talk about real football, It
is.
Rumors can be juicy and fun or whatever and all that, but it's more fun to talk about the actual ball. I see my wife Hannah's in the chat, representing here in Dallas. We just got back from our 5th anniversary.
Shout out to y'all.
Trip vacation. Had a good time. Okay. She wants me to talk about the shirt. All right. Who could tell what this shirt is? We found this on our vacation at a little pop-up store in New York. If you guys can tell, let me know. I'll give you guys a few seconds here. I just explained it to Cullen, but yeah, it's my new shirt that I got. It's a bear sitting on a chair. He's got a little name tag, so you guys can probably put it together, but you guys let me know. We got Oliver and Napoleon, Allen in Chicago, Christopher in Mobile, Alabama, Nate in Champaign, Illinois. We got yes, Seth, that is it. It's a bear and AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, and it says, "My name is Bear." And listen, as Bears fans, we can relate because this team has caused a lot of us to drink over the years. So there you go. I thought this was a funny shirt, and thought I'd rock it on the show. That's not to offend anybody who's had their own battles or anything like that, but just thought it was a fitting shirt for this show and this team. But we're turning the page, Cullen.
Yes.
No more. We're going to be drinking out of excitement, out of joy for victories in 2025. That's the hope, at least.
As someone who drank a lot on the show last season, yeah, listen, I hope it's a lot of more happy drinks.
Celebratory
drinks, as it were. And look, I'm here for it either way. Love the shirt. Think it's looking crisp. Hannah, I'm assuming this. How much influence did Hannah have in?
So she got this. We got each other a gift. Her birthday's next month. It was also our 5-year, like I said, and so we got each other a little something. I got her a necklace deal, and she got me this shirt. So yeah, she was like, "Let's go ahead and get it." So. They had them in orange too, the same shirt, but the main color orange instead of like this gray, soft green. But they didn't have my size in orange, unfortunately. That I would have gotten that one because it's more Bears colors. But I still thought this one was worth getting. So that was that thought process there.
Gotcha.
But
looks nice.
It was
good looking shirt.
It's a fun shirt. It's a fun shirt.
Yeah. Does this also mean that you might be potentially, because the Bears got little glasses on it, is this a tail to come?
Oh, I should probably get glasses. I've probably made a bad choice or two this summer because at some point I am going to need to get my wisdom teeth pulled out. Didn't happen this summer. It's probably, I could still do it, I guess, but with training camp here, I'd rather not. So that's probably been pushed off till after the season. And the eyesight thing probably isn't as. I think both could wait another off season, but those are things that are going to have to be addressed in the next year, I would guess. Isaac Siegel says thoughts on the most important battle of training camp, the long snapper position. Yes, it keeps me up at night, Isaac, but I'm going to guess they stick with the veteran Scott Daly, but Luke Elkin out of Iowa was the long snapper for Tory Taylor there. So who knows? Maybe that connection would play a role. But no, I have not. My thoughts are that I have no thoughts. I don't care who the long snapper is, but I guess I don't even know if it's a real competition. I guess we'll see. But yeah, they do have 2 long snappers in camp, and we'll see if they decide to shift from a veteran to a rookie. But not at the top of my priority list, Colin.
Long snappers matter. As somebody who played middle school long snapper, I can attest.
There you go. Love
they
that.
do matter.
Zachary. In that case, it's my number 1 competition I'm watching for. Astronomer CEO is definitely a Packers fan. That was wild. So
very wild.
I mean, when I'm on vacation, don't get me wrong, I don't turn it off completely, but I'm not as tapped in on social media. Try not to be, at least. And
okay.
little boom in the chat.
Little boom, get that ready.
But yeah, that was certainly something to follow. And yeah, and by the way, for the minority of people defending him and the woman in that, it's like, guys, like, number one, he's worth hundreds of millions of dollars as the CEO of a tech company. Number two, like, he put out a statement of like, I'm trying to be better, but like, it's unfortunate that I got put on screen in a private event. It's like, bro, it was
a Coldplay concert.
Yeah, like, I'm sorry, like, I'm supposed to feel bad for the $100 million CEO who's cheating on his wife. Like, I don't feel bad for you. Like, I don't feel bad. So yeah, actions have consequences, people. Sometimes people get away with this stuff. Sometimes they don't. And this guy and the woman, for that matter, did not. Because I think she's married too. So yeah, I'll tell you what though, the wife of the CEO, in the short term. This
short-term pain for long-term gain.
Yeah, this is probably a win for her.
Yeah,
over
all things
time,
considered.
Because she found out he was a scumbag, and she's going to get a lot of his money. So there you go. Shout out to Cameron Crispin with the $100 super chat. Boom! He says, "What is the most needed position we need?" I still think it's edge rusher. You could debate edge or running back. I'll go with the position that has more positional value, and I think you can get by with what you have at running back. I guess you could get by at edge, but I think you're an injury away to Montez Sweat from being in a major trouble. Now, I guess you could say the same about DeAndre Swift, but running back's more of a plug-and-play position. Like, you can find guys that can at least hold it down. That's not as easy to do for a pass rusher coming off the edge. So I would like them to add an edge rusher. Whether or not they do, we'll have to wait and see. But to me, that is a clear top position of need for this football team. I don't know if you're in the same boat, Colin, but that's where I'm at.
No, I would agree. Listen, I mean, it's no stranger how I feel about Kyle Monangai, but even if you're not on the higher side of Monangai and, you know, maybe the potential of the running back room as a whole with Swift and all of that, I still think with edge, Montez Sweat's coming off a down year where we hope he bounces back, but it's not a guarantee. Your second edge is Dio Adangbo, who, listen, he's kind of being paid on potential. Now, again, he's been productive in his career up to this point with Indy, but he's still somewhat of an athletic kind of project, as it were. And your third, edge at this point is Austin Booker, who I think me and you both liked coming out of last year's draft, but at the same time, not the most, proven commodity in the NFL, as it were.
He was kind of a high upside project that they drafted. So I would still put him in the project category.
So you've got a lot of question marks at the edge position, whereas at running back with DeAndre Swift, Ben Johnson, the investments they made in the offensive line, even if DeAndre Swift has a down year and maybe Monangai and Roschon Johnson don't play up to their level, I still think with Ben Johnson's level of offensive scheming, that will be kind of neutralized at worst case scenario. Whereas at edge, listen, I love Dennis Allen as much as the next guy, but you still gonna have to have some dudes that get after the quarterback, in my opinion. And to be honest, I don't feel comfortable with the Bears, first two, really first three at this point.
Yeah, I honestly, here's how I'd put it. At running back, I think DeAndre Swift is a good player. I don't think he's great. I think he's flawed. At worst, he's average. Whereas with the Bears, Montez Sweat is a good player, but you have 2 starters. You're hoping Dio Odengbo is a really good player, but right now I think based on his career, he's I would put slightly above average player who you're hoping there's more there. You're projecting there's more there. And then none of your backups can you say with any conviction that they're even average. Now, maybe they will be. Maybe Booker takes a step forward. Maybe Dominique Robinson does. But up to this point, we haven't seen it. At least with the Bears, it's like you've seen Swift has a bit of a track record. Running back in general is an easier plug-and-play position. Roschon, at least one thing he does well is he has short yardage value. Like, there's a role there. Like, I mean, can Dominique Robinson play at all? Through 3 years, evidence would say no. So, I think it's edge both from a starting, elevating the overall position group, but also just increasing the depth. Okay, Cornelius, appreciate the 5. And we're not doing an official mailbag segment today, but we will take your super chats. We'll work in some hashtag Bears questions, so continue to fire those in. He says, if you could choose one rookie to be an all-pro in the near future, who would it be? Think about position importance. All-pro in the near future.
Ozzie Trapillo. For me, at least.
Yeah. I would say any of the first 3 guys, there's a world where I could see it. I mean, I still think there's a world where Luther Burden is just like this electric playmaking receiver. Could he be that, could he be like a juiced up Debo by year 3? Like, I think that's possible, and that's probably a all-pro caliber player. Is Colston Loveland at a position where, while tight end has kind of made a comeback, there's still not just a ton of high-level guys. Could he be that? Maybe. But yeah, to your point, Trapillo, like if he's a good left tackle, he certainly has an opportunity to get to that level.
I mean, if Trapillo is an all-pro in the near future, I mean, like you've always talked about, Harry, with
you're saying I answered that like who could get there.
That's what I was saying.
You're saying if I could choose, Trapillo for sure.
Yeah, that's
because then your O-line's pretty complete.
Exactly. And
it's just positional importance.
Yeah, exactly, at left tackle. That's the way I took it. Now, again, like, would you like to obviously choose your first-round pick in Colston Loveland to be an all-pro so that could validate the pick? Of course.
I'd still pick Trapillo for sure.
Exactly.
I'd honestly probably go Shamar Turner, too. Like, disruptive interior defensive tackle.
Could also
that could
be
just
an
wreck
option.
Games.
Yeah.
Because I'm just basing this on, like, positional importance now in terms of what I could choose. And trenches have been positions of needs forever. Now, I think we all think the O-line is going to be improved regardless. But, I mean, if you can lock it down at left tackle, too, it's like, where's the weakness?
Yeah. Like, Luther Burden would be an embarrassment of riches. Like, it'd be cool if he was an all-pro, but, again, like, you already have.
You don't need him to be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Scott Singh in the chat says your chat keeps freezing. Can everybody confirm the chat's not frozen? Just spam bear down real quick.
Maybe just, let us know if you're good. Maybe hit the refresh button, Scott.
Yeah.
Sometimes things can bug out. Could be your Wi-Fi too. I'm not sure, but
just want to make sure it's good for everybody.
Looks like it's flowing in. Got Harley, Mr. Standard, Jason, Diego. Baby says it keeps freezing. The chat or like the stream? That's 2 different things. Scott is a clown. I don't want to call him a clown. He could be experiencing some issues, or is he just trolling in the chat? Who knows?
Who knows?
All right. Seems like it's all right.
Seems like we're good.
All right. Some news that came in today, and we're going to expand on this in a little bit. DJ Chark did not have this on my bingo card. Took a free agent, or actually worked out for the Bears. They had 6 players work out per the transaction wire, which we'll discuss today, but Chark being the most notable. And I was just like, you know what? That minimum deal, you could talk me into it because when you look at the wide receiver room for the Bears, one thing stands out to me, especially from a depth standpoint, is you don't really have a true backup X. And DJ Chark, 6'3", 6'4", 200 pounds, kind of profiles as that boundary receiver that can high point the ball, make big plays down the field. Like, think about your backup guys. Let's say that DJ, Roman, Burden are your top 3. Zacchaeus, 5'9". Tyler Scott, 5'9", 5'10". Duvernay, 5'8", 5'9". Miles Boykin's got some size, but he's kind of bounced around practice squads the last couple of years after being on the active Ravens and Steelers roster earlier in his career. Jahdae Walker was a guy I was intrigued in as a potential backup X if he could push for a roster spot. But a lot of your backup receivers, and really outside of Rome, your receivers on your roster, they're not really those big body go up and get it guys. They're more of those, yard after catch guys, which Ben Johnson likes. But DJ Chark played under Ben Johnson in 2022 and was fairly productive, had 500 yards that season. So if he wanted to sign up for a vet minimum deal and be the fourth or fifth receiver on this team and, play 20 snaps a game, be a big body receiver on the outside, I wouldn't say no. The biggest issue with him has been health. When he's healthy, he's been a solid wide receiver 2/3 for a lot of different teams over the years.
Yeah, no, I mean, vet minimum deal. I mean, to be honest, as long as there's no baggage there, I'm pretty much cool signing any NFL player. DJ Chark's around that kind of, value at this point in his career. But like you mentioned, Harry, I mean, this guy's a former 1,000-yard receiver.
I thought he was going to take off after he did that, and I think it was his second year in Jacksonville.
Yeah, and it was really impressive. Had another impressive year in 2020 after that, catching 93 balls. But yeah, just never quite lived up to the potential that he displayed. However, that doesn't mean he can't provide some value in the league. And look, with the Bears last year, again, it was a different coaching staff. We thought that they might have kept
By the way,
Johnson.
that's 53-20. That's a typo on me, so you may have to fix that.
I will fix.
That was 93 targets that year. But, yeah, I mean, he's got 4 years with 30 or more catches, 4 years with at least 500 yards. The year in 2022 with Ben Johnson, he had 30 catches, 502 yards and 3 touchdowns, 16.7 yards per catch in just 11 games.
Yep.
So if he played 17 games, you're talking about a guy who has probably 50 catches and 800 yards and 5 touchdowns just a couple of years ago. Even the year after that in Carolina, and this was Bryce Young's rookie year when he was atrocious, Bryce Young being, he still had 35 catches for 525 yards and 5 touchdowns. So, I mean, when he's healthy, he's a solid player. Now, he's banged up a lot. He's probably not going to reach his potential at this point, but size-speed combo is there. Good catch radius. I mean, you could do a lot worse as a backup receiver who's not making money. Now, the one thing that I would question is most backup skill guys have to produce on special teams. So if you signed him, he's probably not even a lock to make the roster. He'd have to fight for a roster spot.
Yeah, similar to Colin Johnson, by the way, some FGB news. Zach Tom and the Packers agree on a 4-year, $88 million deal.
There you go.
FGB spending some money.
Why is that a historic extension per Tom Pelissero?
Agent spiel.
It's the signing bonus, largest ever, $30.2 million. Also, some sort of Bears adjacent related news. Former Bears legend, Equinemius St. Brown, working out for the 49ers.
Yep. Pretty crazy news. There's Schultz. They're confirming it. Attaboy Schultzy. No, I thought
Starbucks, Jordan.
Yeah, exactly. Look, DJ Chark, again, would love to bring him in, like you said, for the size. Like last year, Colin Johnson, we thought could have been a really big player that the Bears could have had just on their roster. Didn't really make it after the initial cut down day. There was some talk about that. Could, this coaching staff, and again, different coaching staffs and all that, could this coaching staff really look at this roster and, to your point, look at it and be like, listen, outside of Roma Dunze, there's not a lot of size in this room. So,
and Chark's a much better player than Colin Johnson.
Yes.
Now, he's not 6'6", but he's 6'3", 6'4".
Right.
Yeah, I mean, look, to me, this is like a Ben Johnson-influenced workout. Okay, I had some success with this guy. He's got some size. This room lacks some size. Right. Let's bring him in for a workout. Now, I would say, to me, you work out 6 players the day before veterans report. If they're interested in one of those guys, I would imagine someone signs within 24 to 48 hours. Yep. It's pretty rare you work someone out and then 3 weeks later they sign.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I would guess that by, tomorrow or the next day, they sign one of these workouts players up for a deal as they tinker their 91-man roster. So we'll see. It'll be something to monitor over the next 24, 48 hours. Cornelius says Shamar Turner for me. Yeah, I mean, look, if you told me this guy turned into a 10-plus sack versatile defensive lineman, sign me up. You haven't had that for a while. So Certainly wouldn't be opposed to that. Appreciate the 2. Cornelius Sebastian with the 5. Would you rather have Ben Johnson and Davis Mills or Nathaniel Hackett and Joe Burrow? I'll still take Hackett and Burrow.
Burrow, yeah.
I mean,
because you can always fire Hackett. You can't always
yeah.
Joe Burrow.
I think he's saying in a scenario where you're stuck with both, but
yeah,
sure to that point. But also, like, Joe Burrow, I think Zach Taylor's a decent coach, but I don't think he's like some crazy innovator by any means. And Joe Burrow is, when healthy, an MVP candidate most years. So
if you just say, like, gave an average GM for both, just give Burrow a decent offensive line and, again, maybe a decent number 1 target, I think Burrow will lead you to more wins than, again, Ben Johnson working magic with Davis Mills.
Yeah. And look, like, I'm as excited about Ben Johnson as anybody, but out of those 4 people you named, Joe Burrow at his position right now is more accomplished than anyone else at their position.
Agreed.
Right now. Like, Ben Johnson is an OC, very accomplished, but he's the head coach now. That's new territory. Davis Mills, we know what that is. Nate Hackett, regardless head coach OC, we know he's bad, but like, I'll take the most proven commodity on that list, and that is Burrow. So it's a good hypothetical, though. All right, appreciate all the questions. We'll continue to work them in throughout the show. Hashtag Bears or Super Chat to get those questions answered. Hit the like button, helps us out in the algorithm. Can find more Bears fans in here, so if you would help us out, we would greatly appreciate it because we got a fun show planned for you guys. Today's Bears news and rumors, including DJ Chark working out, plus 5 other players that they worked out, and another free agent that's in the headlines today that I want to discuss as a potential possibility for Chicago. We will do a training camp preview, 5 things I'm keeping an eye on over the next 4 or 5 weeks as camp gets going here. ESPN revealed the Bears starting lineups for offense and defense. I react to that, and they had 4 different criteria that they broke down. And then, like I said, we'll take your questions. Hashtag Bears Super Chat. Not going to do a formal mailbag segment, but we'll work in your questions throughout the live show. Appreciate everybody who's engaged with us already. Got a lot to get to. Let's get going here on Chicago Bears Now. A former Ben Johnson player took a free agent visit with the Chicago Bears and worked out for the team. I react to that. Plus, could the Bears be interested in this pass rusher? We discuss it all here on Chicago Bears Now. But listen, we are trying to get to 125,000 subscribers by the month of August. We're 420 away. Can we get 420 new subscribers in the next 10 days? I get it. It's a lot to ask, but if you want free and daily Bears content, we're the channel for you. Subscribing is free, no charge. We would greatly, greatly appreciate it. Okay, DJ Chark, pretty notable name, although last year didn't go his way, took a visit with the Bears and worked out for the team. He was one of 6 players that worked out. We'll get to the other workout participants here in a little bit, but this certainly caught my attention because for a couple reasons. One, we haven't really talked about free agent receivers at this point in the offseason for a while, right? Because the Bears wide receiver room is deep. And DJ Chark just hasn't been a player that was on my radar. I don't know if it was because he just didn't do much for the Chargers last year or because he's had injuries or whatever the case may be, but just not a player that crossed my head over the last several months for whatever reason. And I think this is pretty notable that they worked him out. And a couple things stand out to me when you look at his career numbers there on screen. Number one, this is a guy that I thought was really going to take off after 2019 when he had a 1,000-yard season, primarily with Gardner Minshew with the Jaguars. Was still productive after that, but injuries have cut some of his seasons short, including last year when he only played in 7 games and kind of got buried on the Chargers depth chart. But look at 2022. Who did he play for? The Detroit Lions. That was the first full year of Ben Johnson being the play caller in Detroit under Dan Campbell. It's fairly productive, right? 500 yards, 3 touchdowns. One thing that has always stood out is his ability to generate big plays throughout his career, over 3,000 yards in 7 seasons. It's not like this guy's been a bum. When he's been healthy, he's been pretty productive in the NFL, and obviously he knows Ben Johnson, and he would know things about this offense. Obviously, this is not a just copy-paste offense from Detroit, Ben has made that very clear. He's engineering this with Caleb Williams in mind, but I would imagine a lot of the verbiage, some of the concepts, especially route running concepts, would be familiar to what DJ Chark did back in 2022. And when I first saw the headline, I was like, why would I want DJ Chark? But then when I really think about it, I think he actually would offer some things that the Bears wide receiver room doesn't have a ton of. And the main part of that is the big body, the true X receiver prototype, 6'3", 200 pounds. The only guy that really prototypes as an X for the Bears is Rome, who's like 6'2", 6'2 and a half, 205, 210. The rest of the wide receiver room, which we'll take a look at in a sec, is a lot of 5'9" to 6 foot guys, yards after the catch, kind of shifty, twitchy type of receivers. DJ Chark's a boundary guy who can high point the football and play vertical downfield. The big playability, which points to that, over 14 yards per catch in his career and multiple seasons of over 16 yards per catch. And again, the familiarity with Ben Johnson. So you bring in a guy like this in July or August, not like a ton of catch-up work needed for DJ Chark. Like I said, when you look at this room, and I mentioned this a month, maybe 2 months ago, you don't have that true backup X receiver. Like if Rome Odunze, went on short-term IR, missed 4 games, who's playing the X? And I know, it's kind of positionless these days. They're going to move guys around. It's not just Rome. They're going to play DJ at some X, I would imagine, so on and so forth. They'll move these guys around. They're versatile, but I would like to have another big body receiver on this team. Jade Walker, Miles Boykin, they have bigger frames, but Boykin's bounced around the last couple of years after being a third-round pick 5 or 6 years ago. Walker's a rookie UDFA who's on the NFI list, by the way. Unclear what his situation is as of now. They're the only 2 backup wide receivers with size, and Boykin being the only one who has size with some experience in the NFL. Whereas a DJ Chark, say what you want about him, maybe he hasn't reached his full potential. This is a guy in 7 seasons who has over 3,100 yards and 24 touchdowns. He's played at a high level. He knows Ben Johnson and some of his offensive schematics. So I've kind of grown to this idea over the last few hours, obviously cost dependent. And you think of the potential wide receiver room, DJ Moore being your wide receiver 1, likely will play the Z a lot. Rome Odunze likely will play the X a lot as your number 2. Luther Burden in the slot along with Olamide Zaccheaus. It's obviously a competition to watch throughout training camp. Your backup Z, combination of Tyler Scott, Devin Duvernay, probably only one would make the roster in this scenario. DJ Chark being your backup X. Now, I will throw out the caveat. Let's say they signed DJ Chark right now, today. I think he would have to earn a roster spot. I don't think this would just be a signing with the clear intent of he's going to make the 53-man roster, because he is a player who probably won't offer much on special teams. And if he's not going to start, most backup skill guys contribute on special teams. So that would be a bit of an exception there. So I do think he would have to show enough at the receiver position to make this roster without contributing a lot on special teams. Now, that being said, you get him on the vet minimum, I'm in. Why? Because if you do cut him, no harm, no foul. If he does make the team, I think it's a low risk. I won't call it high upside, but decent upside move. Maybe he comes in, catches 25 to 40 balls, has, 300 to 500 yards or something like that. I think DJ Chark is certainly capable of that. Now it's a crowded wide receiver room, but he has a pretty good history of being fairly productive. 4 out of 7 seasons, he has over 500 yards in his career. And if it weren't for a couple injury-riddled seasons, that might be 5 or 6 out of 7 seasons. Is he going to return to his 1,000-yard form? Of course not. That's not what you're asking him to do. You'd bring him in, come compete for a role to be your wide receiver 4 or 5, whatever, be that big body type, run 20 routes per game, and that's your role. So I'd be in if it was the minimum. I don't think I'm giving him $5 million or anything like that, but what's his market at this point? It's coming off a year where he had 4 catches in 7 games and was hurt most of the year. So I think there's some intrigue from my standpoint, assuming we're talking about a vet minimum type of contract here. Would you sign DJ Chark to the vet minimum? I think I would. There's basically no risk. If he stinks or if he doesn't make the team, no harm, no foul. If he does, maybe it's a relative high upside move for this wide receiver room. Type S for sign, P for pass. Again, not giving him real money. Vet minimum doesn't impact the cap whatsoever. Now, he was one of 6 players to work out for the Bears today. They also worked out wide receiver Matt Landers. I'll admit, not very familiar with his work. Peyton Hendershot has played some with Dallas and Kansas City. Has been kind of a tight end 3, tight end 4. So, perhaps he'd be a guy if you brought him in, work him into the mix with, the Joel Wilsons, the Steven Carlson. I don't think he's beaten out Durham Smythe, but throw him kind of into that mix where he can battle to be that fourth tight end if they carry 4. Thomas Gordon in there as well. And then Chance Campbell and Javarius Owens, linebacker and safety. 2 players I'm not super familiar with, but a couple positions where you could benefit from adding a depth piece or 2 there. Now, keep in mind when you work out players, typically if you're going to sign them, it's going to happen within 24 to 48 hours, and especially with a guy like DJ Chark, if they're interested, I would imagine they make an offer in the next 24 hours to sign him up. So definitely got to keep an eye on this one and make sure you got us locked in here on the channel in case something does happen. All right, coming up, could the Bears be in the mix for another free agent? This one being an edge rusher who was in the headlines today per one NFL Insider, so stay tuned for that. But first, guys, these have been selling like hotcakes. The Cutoff Bears hoodie. Perfect to wear if you're going out to training camp or early season games. Even when it gets cold, throw on, some long sleeves when you get into, October, November, December, January, hopefully February for the Bears. Wouldn't that be something? It's just good looking, 40% off, $33. I got mine hanging in the back right now. Rocked it on a show last week. Very comfortable, very, agile to move in. Was $55, currently only $33. Chatsports.com/Bears hoodie. That link is in the comments and description of this video. It's an awesome deal. Take advantage today. Okay, Jadeveon Clowney, who we've talked about, here and there throughout the offseason since the Panthers cut him a few months ago. Josina Anderson spoke with Clowney today, and he spoke about his NFL playing future. Here's what he had to say. He said, "I'm still planning to play this season. I've been keeping in touch with 4 to 5 teams." Now, he could be blowing smoke, that it kind of feels like agent talk. Yeah, 4 or 5 teams are interested, one team offered us $8 million. It's going to take 10 to get him signed up. I don't know what his market is. I don't know how many teams are talking to him, but I could buy that 4 or 5 teams are interested. Why? Because A, I hope the Bears are one of them, and B, he's still solid. I think people look at Jadeveon Clowney, it's like, this guy's a big failure. He bounces around the league. How come he doesn't stick one place for more than a year or 2? And while there's some truth and question to why that is, you look at his career, yes, and I've said this a million times, he has and will never live up to being the number 1 pick. And not just the number 1 pick, like, this guy's going to change the way defensive ends play. Like, we all remember the hit at South Carolina when he just blew up the Michigan running back. Like, he's never going to be a Hall of Famer. But that doesn't mean he hasn't had a very, very, very good career. He's been a tremendous run-stopping edge for pretty much his entire career, and he's been kind of a streaky pass rusher, 60-something sacks. Over his career, he averages like 7 a season. Like, he's a good football player, and last year, he still graded out well per PFF, over 70, which is well above average. Pass rush grade was good. Run defense slipped a bit. He's got a bit of a knee issue now, so he can't play every snap. The practice reps are going to be limited for him, but, he's not going to be that dominant edge setter anymore in the run game, but still had 44 pressures. His pressure rate was 12.7%. That's above average. Like, that's what I would call him. He is an above average edge defender at this point in his career. You know how many above average edge defenders the Bears have? For sure 1, maybe 2. Montez Sweat is obviously better than above average. Even last year on a down year, he was above average. Dayo Odeyingbo, I would put him in the above average category. Who else is above average? We're hoping, if you told me today Austin Booker will be above average when you compare him to the rest of the league this year at edge, sign me the hell up. I will take that today. Daniel Hardy, Dominic Robinson, I would take that for any of these guys. The reality is you're hoping one of those guys gets there. With Clowney, I know he's that. He's above average. He's not a superstar. He's not great. He's not even his peak anymore. But he's still good. He can still play. And I think as an edge 3 role, when he can't play every snap anymore, he could play, 50 to 60% of the snaps on any given Sunday. I think last year he played 650 snaps. So you divide that by 17, quick math. You're looking at what's that, 40 snaps a game or so? Perfect. Sign me up. I would be in for that all day long. Same with Zadarius Smith. You get one of these guys signed up, you feel a lot better about that room. I don't think there's anything they can do, barring a Micah Parsons trade, Trey Hendrickson, whatever, that would make you feel incredible about the edge group. But if you just signed one of these 8-10-year vets that kind of just knows how to play, you'd feel a lot better with that trio of Sweat, Odeyingbo, and insert the third guy, and then trickle down effect from there. So I'd like to see them do this. I hope they're one of the teams talking to Clowney. I don't know if they are, but if they are, that would make me a happy customer, and hopefully they can get a deal done. Should the Bears sign Jadeveon Clowney? What say you? Type Y for yes or type in for no. You guys know where I stand, and quite frankly, it doesn't have to be Clowney. If it's Za'Darius Smith too, I'd probably prefer Smith, to be honest. Either one of these guys, I would be all over that. All right, that's going to do it for this edition of Chicago Bears Now. Keep an eye on the DJ Chark thing. I think that's certainly pretty interesting, and obviously Clowney as well. If any developments happen there, we will break it down on a video. Hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you soon.
Gonna get these super chats on screen real quick.
Yeah, super chat, hashtag Bears. We'll work in some hashtag Bears questions throughout the show as well. Not doing a full segment of questions today, but we'll get some of those questions going throughout the show.
For sure.
Bring back Urlacher. I don't think Brian can play anymore. Just for fun, how old is Brian Urlacher? Brian Urlacher.
I guess 40.
I'm going to guess like 51. It's 47.
Nice.
Brian Urlacher or Eamon Ogbongbemiga? 47.
Bam.
Yeah. You know, we always make that joke, like, you know how, like, I think it finally has died in the last couple of years. You know how T.O. would always say, I could still come back and play. I'm working out. I'm ready. I do think there are a handful of guys into their late 40s and early 50s. I do believe them when they could play one game.
Yeah.
The problem is they would wake up the next day.
Yep.
And I don't think they'd be able to walk for a month. I'm actually not joking. Like, I think T.O. up until a couple years ago, like, if you told me, hey, go play 25 snaps, be a red zone guy, like, I'm not saying he would, like, even catch a ball, but, like, I think he could look like a somewhat normal football player in the limited snaps, given how good a shape he still is in. But he would get hit once, and he would just crumble. Like,
right.
That's the issue.
It's, the endurance.
It's the 17 games, the practice, the recovery. Like, I have no doubt these guys staying good. That's why what Brady did is just such an outlier.
Yep.
I mean, it's truly remarkable.
Fun fact, do you know off the top of your head who Terrell Owens' last preseason invite / I guess playing time?
Well, I know he played with the Seahawks.
It was the last time.
Okay, was that his last year? I didn't know if it was that or Buffalo.
Yeah, Russell Wilson's rookie years, that whole saga with Matt Flynn, T.O. was rocking a number 10 Seahawks jersey.
That's electric.
Seahawks legend Terrell Owens.
Did he get preseason? Did he get regular season snaps?
No regular season snaps. He didn't make the team.
Okay.
He, fun
Caught
fact.
a few balls in the preseason, though?
Yeah.
Was he out of the league for a couple years at that point, or was he still?
May have been with Buffalo, I think, the year before. But
okay, yeah.
I know that was his last, like, again, every year, right? Like, I'm ready to go. It's like, all right, man.
But yeah, I've always thought, like, some of these guys actually could play a game, but, like, it's the, oh, you got to do it again next week, and the next week, and the next week.
Right.
And, I mean, these guys just take a freaking beating, man. Wasim. He says, Bear.FGB, if we sign anybody, sign an edge or a running back. Yeah, I mean, those are the positions we've talked about for months. I think they're the two thinnest position groups. They're the two position groups that you question their ceiling. No question. Now, if you told me Montez plays like he did a couple years ago, like, that's the best player out of those two position groups by far, but obviously we have to wait and see if he can do that. The Not Cast says, don't sleep on Turner, might have a verse type year. I mean, if Dallas Turner or if Shamar Turner plays like Jared Verse, even though Turner's going to play on the inside primarily, that would be a revelation. Jared Verse, I thought, was at times dominant last year.
Yep.
His raw sack totals weren't great. I think he only had 4.5 sacks, but like there were a lot of games where you're like, whoa, like you could feel that guy. So
yeah, the Rams, they had a couple of guys along that defensive line that really his teammate Braden Fisk, that really kind of stood out last year. And Verse, it felt like last year there was a couple just stretches where he took over games as a rookie. So I will say this, Harry. I feel like we might need to do like a Shamar Turner. I don't know if it's like a feature or if Bears or fans are sleeping. I just feel like out of the 4 first picks for the Bears, I mean, obviously we've talked about Colson Loveland, right? His, injury and everything, is he going to be ready? Same thing with Luther Burden, Ozzie Trapillo, the offensive tackle position.
We haven't talked
fighting.
a lot about Turner.
Do you guys want to hear more about Shamar Turner? Because to be honest, he feels like the second round pick that has been the least talked about, at least from us and our,
I think there's a couple reasons why that's the case. Number one, trenches players without pads, like during OTAs, there's just not much to say. We talked about Trapillo because Braxton Jones was out, and the storyline was who's getting the reps at left tackle.
Yes.
And then the other reason is, unlike edge, I actually think the Bears are pretty deep at defensive tackle.
Yes.
So, I don't look at Shamar Turner the same way I do Ozzie Trapillo for 2025 in the sense of, I have Shamar Turner, if the year comes and goes and he didn't do that much, it would be somewhat disappointing, but it'd be like, well, he was like the fourth defensive tackle entering camp, and that's how you perform. Don't know what you really want to expect. Whereas Ozzie Trapillo, he could start at one of the most important positions right away. So,
good.
Yeah, I think those are the main reasons. Plus, he had an injury as well that derailed his pre-draft process. But yeah, we'll be talking about him during camp if he's making waves. I can promise you that. So, but yeah, he is kind of the forgot. We've talked way more about Ruben Hippolyte than Shamar Turner again because he has a chance to have a more notable role potentially as a rookie. So,
right.
But yeah, he is kind of the forgotten man on the defensive line. So. And another reason we haven't talked about much is when Dennis Allen was like, yeah, we don't really have plans in the near future to work him at edge. He's got to learn both defensive tackle spots first. I was like, well, edge is thinner. If he said we were going to work him at edge more, that's probably something we would have talked about more, but he's not really getting reps there. At least he wasn't during OTAs. So.
He feels like a guy that maybe back half of 2025 could have a more prominent role.
Yeah, you see a guy in week 12 just randomly has a sack and 3 pressures. You're like, oh, there's Shamar Turner.
Yeah.
Just sometimes it takes a year or two for defensive linemen. So
touche.
We'll see what happens. M. Xavier says, I'd rather trade for Parsons instead of Hendrickson. Oh, in a vacuum for sure. He's 5 years younger. While Mike is not a great run defender, I actually think he profiles better than Hendrickson. He could drop into coverage on occasion if you need him to. He's got that off-ball linebacker background. I think Micah's probably, even if you don't think he's a better overall player right now, I think he probably is. But let's take that out of it. He's 5 years younger and he's still ascending. Is Trey Hendrickson still ascending? Probably not. Now that doesn't mean he's on the decline. But, he's probably right at the peak of his powers right now, whereas there's still room to grow for Micah. So, yeah, if you told me who I'd rather trade for, now it's going to cost more. I don't think since he was ever getting a first for him, which is why they didn't trade him. I think if they got offered a first before the draft, they probably would have done it.
Yeah.
I think to get Micah Parsons calling, at minimum, I think you're talking about a 1 and a 2. It might be 2 1s. It might be the Khalil Mack trade, which ironically was the Bears, and ironically was right before week 1. It was during training camp, and things went south with Mack and the Raiders with contracts. So are there some parallels here with the two situations? Who knows? Micah, in good faith, reported to Cowboys training camp, and then Jerry decided to jab him a couple times today for no apparent reason. So we'll see how that situation goes. Might talk about it on a video tomorrow. But, yeah, the trade and the contract is going to be massive. You're probably talking about, let's say it's just a 1 and a 2. Then you're paying him $42 million per year probably. And you're giving him, I think you're giving him not only the most per year, but you're also the most guaranteed.
Yep.
So
he will be the highest.
4 years, $170 million with $125 guaranteed. It's probably what you're looking at. Which, look, in a vacuum, I'd give him that. But you're also, it's the draft capital on top of that. So, to me, you make that move. The mistake the Bears made with Mack was not how much they gave up for him, was not how much they paid him. It was that they didn't have the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
They thought Mitch was the guy.
Yep.
So if you do that, you clearly think Caleb's the guy. You better be right. Because if he's not, it's kind of a waste. Because you look back at the Raiders-Bears trade with Mack, I would give the edge to the Bears in that trade overall, but what winning did you actually get out of it? You had a cool 12-4 season that first year, and the defense was phenomenal. but he lost in the wild card round. Like it's not like it led to this sustained level of success. Like if you get Micah, it's like, okay, your pillars of your team are Caleb Williams and Micah Parsons. Like they are the two most important players on your team. So
that being said, if we wake up tomorrow, we come into work, and we get the notification on our phones saying Micah Parsons has officially requested a trade from the Dallas Cowboys,
I'd jump all over it. I'm a Caleb believer. I personally believe in Caleb. I'd be interested in that trade. But I'm not Ryan Poles. I don't have to face the consequences of if I'm wrong. Like if they make this move and Caleb doesn't work out and they're like this 500 team for the next 3 years,
The thing, it is also, and again, there are parallels to that scenario with Mac. I will say this: I do feel more confident in this era, and that's the thing too. Like again, Poles may not have as long of a leash, quote unquote, as Ben Johnson or even Caleb Williams does, but again, the time they did, but the time to cash in, we've always said it, for a rookie quarterback is on the rookie contract. Right?
And I'm more confident in Caleb entering year 2 way more than Mitch.
Yes.
And
agreed.
Mitch had a decent year that first year with Mac, and everybody thought it was going to take off, and it didn't work out. But I'm also more confident in Ben than I am with Nagy.
Yes.
Even though there were reasons to be optimistic about Nagy. So
yeah. And you had Micah Parsons to that defense. I mean, good Lord. You had him.
I mean, if you have Micah and Sweat, I've always said this about Sweat. He ideally is a dominant run defender first, pass rusher second. I think he's kind of been like forced/pressured into be this pass rusher first here in Chicago because they don't really have that other guy.
Yeah.
Like in Washington, he played on some good defensive lines, so he didn't have to necessarily go out and get 15 sacks. Let Micah be that guy. You dominate against the run, pitching like 8 to 10 sacks, and then you have this just rotation of defensive tackles. Like that's pretty. That would be pretty dynamic if you added Micah.
Yeah, not to mention you have the secondary that again stays healthy. At least it's pretty good on paper. You go replace Tremaine Edmonds potentially next offseason. You get a more kind of set Mike linebacker that you could pair next to TJ Edwards.
Well, and also just from like a cap flexibility, right? Like, okay, you can move off Tremaine's money after this year. You could pivot off Sweat in a year or two, right? Like if you're worried, we already paid Montez Sweat. Like, how are we going to give Micah 40? Well, you'd probably only have both for like 2 years. Like you have them this year and next year, then you pivot off Sweat. Like it's the Eagles game, right? Yep. Like you pick and choose who you pay, and then you pivot off a year early instead of a year late. Like that's what the good teams do.
Yep.
Like they know when to pivot. So, I mean, listen, if you told me he requested a trade, I'd be all over it. You would just do it 2 first?
Wouldn't even think about it. Because again, like, and
would you rather do 2 1s or like a 1, a 2, and like an Austin Booker, or a 1 and a 3 and an Austin Booker? Like, what would you?
Sure, yeah, I'd rather not give up 2 first-round picks, but if
I guess Booker is probably a bad example. He's not the difference between a 1 and a 2.
Yeah,
probably.
Exactly.
He's probably worth like a 4 or a 5.
Right. So I mean, like again, now if you're wanting to say, hey, would you rather give up 2 firsts or maybe like a first, maybe one of your secondary players, and then call it a 3rd or a 4th?
Yeah, like a 1, a 2, and Terrell Smith or something like that. Like, hey, Trayvon Diggs is out for you all. You'll need a corner. Here's Terrell Smith.
Yeah. Or what would you, a first in one of your corners, either Tyreek, Kyler, or Jalen?
I don't think I could trade Jalen unless he gets weird.
Yeah, with the contract situation, but
you're not trading Kyler. You just extended him,
right? So Tyreek, maybe.
I mean, yeah, I like Reek, and I'm still buying stock. But if you told me if it's 2 1s or a 1 in Tyreek, like I don't think. What do you think Tyreek on a trade market fetches? Middle round pick, 3rd or a 4th?
You're hoping a 3rd, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's probably like a 4th, to be honest.
You're hoping.
Like his stock's just not high right now.
Yeah.
On the public. Now I'm buying the dip, as
it were,
the traders would say.
Exactly.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting conversation. Listen, the Micah thing is look, Dallas is going to pay him. I assume this all works out, but like that would piss me off if I was Micah. It's like, okay, last year I was contract extension eligible. No problem. I'll show up, play. This year, not only is he still extension eligible, it's like if any player in the league could gripe about or has a reason to hold out, it's him. He still shows up, and Jerry is like, yeah, he missed 6 games last year. We have to account for that with injury. He only missed 4. Yeah, like if you pay guys early instead of late, like there's consequences to that. Like he's just throwing all these jabs. It's like, dude, this guy probably shouldn't have even shown up.
Yeah.
And you're just going out of your way to like try to win the public PR negotiation battle.
And it's just like Micah, in terms of like on the field and practice and everything, I've heard little to no bad things about him. You know, people want to say,
he's pretty old school from like a football attitude mindset. Now he's got a podcast. He,
I don't care.
He tweets. I don't care. I don't care. They all have podcasts.
I don't care. Like honestly, he's allowed to speak his mind. I mean, he's very open and honest, which hey, that's his personality. You're giving up 2 first if need be for Micah. If Jerry says, hey, we're trading him, this is what it's going to cost, you pay it. You pay it. Now, if you were to throw a first Dio, because obviously you would trade Dio in a first, what would you add on to? Because maybe you traded Dangbo. You just signed him and everything.
Yeah, the problem is his contract. I mean, the amount of dead money you eat if you trade him. Like when you sign a player to a contract like that in year 1, you trade him. Like if they traded him right now, the dead, like this year his cap hit's only $8 million. The way they structured it, it jumps up to 20.5.
If they were to trade him, yeah,
it's pretty untenable.
Yeah, I was just thinking, yeah.
Well, hang on, I was looking at cut post June 1. Let me look at trade post June 1. It's actually not that bad. It's a little less than the 8. So you could do that. That's pretty unique to sign a guy and. But I mean, listen.
Right. I mean, because would you really pay
first and Dio for Micah?
Yeah, because would you really pay 3 edge rushers more than however much Dio's making per year at that point?
Yeah.
So like maybe you just say, hey, listen, we'll give you a starting caliber edge back. We'll throw in a first, and then figure out whatever the next draft pick will be. Just send that way.
The other option, I'll throw a curveball at you.
Okay.
I'm not saying I want them to trade this guy, but what if you did like a first in Gervon Dexter, since you paid Dio, and Dio plays more interior?
Okay. Just sell them on Gervon's like upside and the fact
year
that he has,
3, he's ascending as a player still, in theory. Just a thought, because you're deeper. Because that's the one thing about trading a Dangbo. Like, don't get me wrong, I would do that trade, but like, then your edge group, as good as your 2 starters are, it's like, who are your backups?
Yeah,
like
it's top.
They can't play every snap, so I don't know. Just a thought.
A lot of different scenarios. And again, hypothetical. It hasn't even happened yet, but it is that time of year, right, where contracts, rumors, all that kind of stuff's swirling. So, yeah, I mean, who knows? Because it could explode in Dallas. It could. I don't think it will.
I mean, if I was Micah,
but it's not.
Don't get me wrong. It's easy to just kind of say this, but I think I'm serious when I do. I think I'd get on a flight tonight and I'd leave camp. I'd be like, you know what? I did not need to show up. I was probably advised not to show up.
I'm trying to be a good leader.
I'm trying to be a leader. And you fucking throw multiple jabs at me? Fuck you.
Yep.
I'm going to Cabo Zeke style. Offer me the biggest contract for an edge ever or trade me. What are they going to do? I mean, he's in that category of player where he can do that, just like Myles Garrett did, just like TJ Watt did. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. All right, Alex, and we got a couple more segments to roll through here. Still hoping we sign Za'Darius. Yeah, I mean, that's a more reasonable, realistic scenario that I would absolutely be on board with. So, yeah. How is Fields back in the chat?
I was reading that. Somebody.
We're back to debating Justin Fields.
Somehow. I guess someone was bringing him up in the chat.
Is this Calergio guy?
Yeah.
I'm not sure why you have to make so many excuses for Caleb. You guys aren't dating him. Calergio, here's the thing. For 3 years, we made excuses for Justin Fields, myself included. Like, and then after year 3, it's like, okay, we're 3 years in. Like, are we going to continue to do this? It's 1 year into Caleb, and 3 coaches got fired. Like, let's at least give it a second year. Like, and by the way, as bad as it was at times last year, it was easily better than any season Justin had. I'm not trying to rip on Justin. Good guy. Hope it works in New York. Very easy to root for. I've said all that stuff. There are things to like about his game, but like, come on, it's not apples to apples.
Justin Fields has not yet proven that he can run a conventional NFL offense for a full season.
At even a adequate level.
Yes. Caleb, at least last year, throughout everything, as bad as you want to say, he at least ran an offense to a point where it was like
somewhat adequate.
Somewhat.
Yeah.
Somewhat.
Yeah. And at least like the highs with Caleb last year, like the flashes, or like all the highs with Justin were like just these magical runs, which are cool, but like that doesn't really sustain over time. And we saw that the next year because a lot of those were in 2022, and in 2023, defenses adjusted and basically took away like the crazy 40, 50-yard runs. Like they were like, okay, we'll just make him drop back and beat us, and he couldn't do it. So
literally anytime you bring up Justin Fields and you just see his highlights, running through Twitter, it's either the rushes that you were talking about or it's a throw to Ohio State to get
it's still the Clemson throw. It's like, guys.
It's still the throw. Like that's the throw that
I
associate
when the
with
Jets
Justin
signed
Fields.
him.
Yeah.
The Jets just signed a demon. And it's the throw from Ohio State. It's like, it's not even an NFL throw.
No.
Not to say he's never made good throws in the NFL, but it's like, if we have to keep referring to this throw he made in college, it's like, what are we doing?
It's just an old stick at this point.
Yeah. All right. No reason to even debate it. I told you guys I was retired from those discussions, so got to keep to my word. All right. What do we got coming up here? Yes. Training camp preview. Talk about the current quarterback plus more. That's next. Bears training camp is officially here as veterans report today, Tuesday, July 22nd, and I'm here for a full preview. My name is Harrison Graham. We're going to dive into, I'd say, 5 top storylines that I'm keeping an eye on throughout training camp and that I think you guys should pay attention to as well. I think the most important thing by far is just this new partnership between Caleb Williams, the quarterback, and Ben Johnson, the head coach / offensive coordinator / play caller. How does this thing gel? How does this thing grow? Are there bumps? I'm sure there will be. Is it over a 5 or 6 week period? Is it one of these where it's but over time it's a linear growth? That's what you're obviously hoping for because it's the most important relationship on the team. Head coach and quarterback, especially when the head coach is the play caller as well. Like Caleb's growth and development and ascension has to be priority 1, 2, and 3 during training camp. We need to feel by the end of training camp pretty good about where he's at heading into the regular season. Now, how he performs in camp, is that going to be a direct indicator of how he plays week 1 and throughout the season? Not necessarily, but you need to feel good about what he's doing in these practices. I would imagine the first, few practices, maybe even week and a half could be, jumpy, not great. But by the end of camp, we should feel better about Caleb than we did at the start of camp. And hopefully with reps and with growth and with evolution with this new head coach, that is going to happen. Some areas of growth I'm looking for with Caleb is getting the ball out quicker. Now, better offensive line should just give him more time to throw. That'll help. He's never going to be among the league leaders in times to throw because that's just not his game. It's not Joe Burrow's game either. Like, he historically holds the ball on long. So you can be a guy that holds on to the ball longer, but he's got to get it out quicker, at least on certain plays. Deep ball accuracy. I think this was an area that was just all over the map last year. I think some of it was time to footwork. Some of it was just timing with the receiver. Some of it was just bad throws. is Caleb going to go from a bottom deep ball thrower to one of the best in the league this year? Probably not, but he's got to hit more of those. And he's, more importantly, just give your guys a chance. Like, as weird as it sounds, you'd rather underthrow a deep throw than overthrow one, because a guy like Rome Odunze, 72% contested catch rate, he's going to make a play more often than not. And then just increased aggressiveness. Like, take less sacks. That's part of getting the ball out quicker in general also. But, like, hey, like, tighter window, take a chance every once in a while. Ben Johnson talked about that. Like, efficiency and aggressiveness, we're going to lean into those with this offense. A turnover in certain situations is actually not as bad as a sack, because a sack essentially ends a drive. It just does. So if you're increasing your aggressiveness rate, well, if you hit enough of those, even if that increases your turnovers, the ways to win in today's NFL, you got to generate explosive plays offensively. So take more chances if you are Caleb Williams. All right, what is an area that you're keeping an eye on that Caleb needs to improve at the most, perhaps? Maybe it's something tangibly, maybe it's something intangibly. Let me know an area you're keeping an eye on with Caleb that you want to see him improve at this year. Okay, obviously the left tackle competition, we could point to all the different competitions: linebacker 3, third wide receiver, second outside corner, but this is a critical one because A, it does protect the quarterback we were just talking about, and B, it's the primary question on the offensive line at this point in time, because your left guard through right tackle is pretty darn set with Joe Thuney, Drew Dahlman, Jonah Jackson, and Darnell Wright. Jonah Jackson, minor question mark there. Had a weird season last year, but you feel pretty good about him reuniting with Ben Johnson. But is it going to be Braxton Jones? Is it going to be Ozzie Trapillo? Is it going to be Karan Amagaji? Depending on when you're watching this, we might have more clarification on Braxton Jones' injury status. So depending on when I publish this, we might have more info on whether or not he's on the PUP list. But regardless of that, who's going to win that job? Because everything is set except for left tackle on the Bears offensive line. We know who the other 4 starters are going to be. There's no question about that, barring an injury or barring a curveball of moving Darnell Wright to left tackle, which I just do not think is going to happen. 99.9% sure who 4 out of the 5 starters is. But we don't have any clue who's going to be the starting left tackle, and so that obviously is a major storyline for the next month and a half. All right, guys, today's show is sponsored by Brunt. The best working boots I've ever owned come from Brunt, and you can get $10 off with code CHAT today. As a homeowner, there's always projects around the house to work on, and Brunt's boots provide both comfort and durability required to get these jobs done. Before I found Brunt, I can't tell you how many different working boots I tried and went through. I was always left with foot pain, blisters. They weren't waterproof. They just didn't offer the overall performance that Brunt does. The Marin boots from Brunt are the most comfortable boots I've ever worn. You can finally have durable work boots that are as comfortable as your sneakers. They are lightweight, waterproof, slip and oil resistant, heat resistant, and electrical hazard rated. Join over 500,000 customers with Brunt today, as Brunt lets you try the boots on the job risk-free, and all of their products have free shipping as well. Brunt was tired of the workwear brands out there cutting corners. You work too hard to be stuck in uncomfortable boots that don't hold up over time. So they built something better, boots that are insanely comfortable and built for any job site. So for a limited time only, our listeners get $10 off at Brunt when you use code CHAT at checkout. That's code CHAT at bruntworkwear.com. Code CHAT, $10 off, you're good to go. And after you order, they're going to ask you where you heard about Brunt. Do us a favor. Tell them we sent you. Bears Now from Chat Sports. $10 off, code CHAT, bruntworkwear.com. You can use /chat as well to get $10 off. Okay, number 3. What roster needs a merge? I think we know, at least on paper, the ones we've talked about a lot, right? What? Edge, running back. Those are the 2 that really stand out. But I think there's other ones, and obviously as you get through camp and little nicks and knacks, injuries, underperformance, overperformance in other areas, you get to the end of these training camps before cutdown day, and these GMs with the coaches and assistants and et cetera, they kind of analyze the roster. Okay, where are we at this position? Do we need to add some depth there? I think these are 5 positions I'm keeping an eye on. Edge, running back, don't need to beat those down. I have question marks about both of those for various reasons. Safety and linebacker depth I'll throw into the same bucket as well. You feel good about your starters. Backups, I think there's questions there. And then as much credit and the Bears deserve a lot of it, that we've given Ryan Poles and the Bears for rebuilding the offensive line, especially the interior with Tooney, Dahlman, and Jackson. Who are the backup interior guys? Is Ryan Bates healthy? If he is, can he be that reliable guy? I would say a healthy Ryan Bates is a pretty good backup interior lineman because he can play center or guard. Okay. If he's healthy, that's a check mark. I'm not convinced he's healthy. I think that's going to be a storyline that emerges. Luke Newman, center guard hybrid. He's been working out at center this offseason, started doing that at the Senior Bowl, etc. 6th round pick. Is he ready to be a primary backup? Doug Kramer, I do think there is a world where you could add a veteran guard if someone gets cut or if a Brandon Scherf or someone like that wants to play for super cheap. There are guys out there, but I do have questions about the interior backups. Maybe Kron Amagaji. Like if this turns into a Braxton Jones, Ozzie Trapillo thing, could you get Amagaji some reps at guard? That's something I would like to see, so we'll see what happens there. I think the impact additions, if they come, I think edge and running back would be the positions to look at because you could argue that you need real contributors at both those positions. Like interior offensive line backup, like you're hoping that guy never plays, right? You're hoping that a 4th or 5th linebacker that you potentially bring in never has to play. That's more of just, okay, if a guy goes down. But running back, you could bring in a guy to pair with Swift, and in certain scenarios, if it's a Kenneth Walker, James Cook, whatever, a guy that could actually ascend ahead of Swift potentially. And then at edge, you're probably, unless you make a blockbuster move, not going to find somebody that's better than Montez Sweat, but for sure better than Austin Booker, better than a guy like Dominique Robinson, maybe even a guy better than Dio Adengbo. You never know. So those are the two positions where you could add an impact player potentially, but those other spots are more like depth positions. And we'll see if other positions end up needing to add pieces because injuries pop up and you never know what's going to happen. All right, there you go. Those are some potential roster needs that could emerge. A couple more things to break down in this training camp preview in a moment. But if you want Chicago Bears content all year long, all season long, weird to say, the season is upon us, hit that subscribe button. We got you guys covered. Okay, key injuries to watch. These vets, they all do their physicals, so on and so forth. But more important than that, what is the status of Braxton Jones and Colston Loveland? Now, rookies reported a couple of days ago. As of filming this, and I'm filming this full disclosure, Thursday afternoon, evening, 5:10 p.m. Central Time. Haven't heard anything about Loveland's shoulder status since he reported to camp 2 days ago. First full practice isn't until Wednesday, so we may not hear anything until then. But just full disclosure, if you're watching this later, it's like, oh, we saw the report on Loveland. That's why, as of now, I haven't heard anything new. Same with Braxton Jones. Veterans report, obviously, on Tuesday. I'm filming this on Monday, like I said. Obviously, he had the ankle surgery. Loveland had the shoulder surgery. Those are two potential starters, right? So, what are their situations? As of filming this, Jalen Johnson on the NFI. I don't get the sense that's a serious injury situation, but obviously something potentially to watch. But I think these are the two notable ones, obviously. And then lastly, which young players can elevate? Which young players can ascend to the next level? Not necessarily to being a superstar, but maybe they were a project last year and they're a contributor this year. Maybe they were a rotation player last year and a starter this year. These are 5 players I'm keeping an eye on. And beyond Caleb, obviously. We already talked about Caleb. Rome Odunze. Can he go from being a solid starter, solid contributor to a very good starter, high-end starter, if not a potential star? I think that's on the table. Darnell Wright, he's been a good starter for 2 years. Thought the second half of last year he was really good. Can he be great? Can he be one of the best right tackles in the league this year? I think that's on the table. Gervon Dexter, very good rotation player, decent starter through 2 years. Can he be more? Can he be a high-end starter? Can he be a blue chipper? That might be a reach, but I think there's more there. Tyreek Stevenson, it's obviously been a roller coaster filled with ups and downs. Can he just be a steady starter? Consistency, that's kind of the word with him. And then Austin Booker, can he be that third edge rusher? Can he be at least kind of an upside kind of streaky type of pass rusher that randomly can impact games? You're hoping he can be that type of guy for this defense. And in general, this team needs some more blue chippers to emerge. I think they have 2. I think Joe Tooney and Jalen Johnson are blue chip players. Montez Sweat, DJ Moore at times have played at that level, but probably haven't done it consistently. Can Rome Odunze elevate? Can Darnell Wright get there? Can these other players go from yellow chip to red, which is the second tier? I think that's possible. You need guys to improve. That's where coaching comes in. That's where player development comes in. Year 2 to year 3, year 1 to year 2, so on and so forth. So obviously going to be important to see which of these guys take the next step in their career. Which Bears player needs to step up the most? I think the answer is clearly Caleb. Beyond him, needs is a strong word, but who's the left tackle? You'd like someone in that group to step up. Darnell Wright, go be an all-pro, man. You've got all the tools. Take that next step. Be a little more consistent. So if they can find a few guys that do that, you're going to be sitting pretty good. All right, that is going to do it for this episode of Chicago Bears Now. My full training camp preview. We'll react to camp every day. We'll do probably weekly training camp winners and losers as well. Preseason content. We got you covered every step of the way, so hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. All right, the Sky Warrior 2. Do you think Ohio State runs it back? Julian saying is at New York as Heisman finalists. I sub from 4 Words, by the way. Oh, appreciate it, Sky.
Yeah,
go check out my other channel, 4 Verts, if you guys haven't already. Colin can throw the link in the chat. Talk a little NFL college football over there. Julian saying it was kind of a mixed bag in spring ball, it sounded like. I think there's going to be some growing pains there. Now, when you have Jeremiah Smith, that helps, obviously.
Yeah.
But I don't know, and not that Will Howard just lit it up every week, but I think there could be some growing pains there. For the first time in a while, Ohio State's entering fall camp without a clear answer at quarterback, so that's definitely I would not expect finalists, Heisman finalists this year. That's probably a reach, but I would expect whoever starts will be productive because that offense always is just going to produce numbers and regardless of the talent you're going to be productive at quarterback there, unless it's just a disaster, which I don't think it'll be. Same was obviously a big recruit a few years ago. So, yeah, I mean, throw it up to Jeremiah Smith a lot, and you're going to make some hay. That's for sure.
Never a bad idea. Never a bad idea.
It's what I do in CFB 26, or that's what I will do if I ever buy the game.
Need to
get on that grind,
dude. Listen.
Is it bad in terms of just how much hours you're putting in?
I don't want to give away that information. It's been a lot. It's been a lot. Rivers officially retired, by the way, with the Chargers. Someone's spamming that in the chat.
Who did?
Phillip Rivers did. He officially retired with the Chargers.
We got to set a new standard of how long you're out of the league. But look, I get it. He's a legend there, and he's a fringe Hall of Fame guy. But if you're out of the league more than 2 years. Do you get this moment? This feels a little who did this recently? And I'm oh, he officially retired. He hadn't played in 4 years.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. I can't remember his name.
It happens all the time now, though. It's guys who've been out of the league 2 or 3 years. They realize, they really can't get a job anymore. And they're oh, I'm officially retiring. I'm retiring as a player of that team. It's okay. You haven't played for that team for 6 years.
I think the coverage around because to be honest, that isn't the actual retiring doesn't bother me. Maybe if it's 10 years later and it's hey, I'm still retiring, maybe that would bug me some more. I think the coverage around the fact that we're getting notifications about Phillip Rivers retiring.
Yeah, maybe that's a better I don't need the noti that it's he hasn't played in 4 years.
Yeah, that's not news.
No.
Sorry. It just isn't.
Yeah. Destiny. Remember before the draft when y'all thought you were getting the next Mahomes? Turns out we both did, but we got Patrick and y'all got Jackson. I see where you're going with that, Destiny. I never claimed that Caleb Williams is Patrick Mahomes. There are play style comparisons, but hey, Caleb's got way more swag than Jackson Mahomes. Let's just put that out there, number one. Number two,
has more aura, some would say.
Yeah. And I don't even think Caleb is this super aura guy, but let's pump the brakes, Destiny. But if you're a Chiefs fan, you're obviously able to talk a lot of trash these days. So I get it to an extent. But Tyler Jones, if you're watching, you're not one of those. Hashtag Bears or Super Chat to get your question on the show. We'll take a few more before we sign off, and then we'll get out of here. But we got one more segment first as ESPN, they do this article every year. They kind of rank all 32 rosters from 1 to 32, and they have different categories, and they project the starting lineups for the offense and the defense.
Which they kind of cheat, clearly.
Which they kind of cheated this year, which I'll explain coming up next. But we're going to react to that here on this show as ESPN ranks the Bears roster. And before this segment starts, just take a guess. Out of 32, where did they rank the Bears roster? Give us your thoughts on today's show right now. The annual ESPN roster outlook for all 32 NFL teams has dropped, and we react here on Chicago Bears Now. My name is Harrison Graham. ESPN gives the Bears the 15th best roster and projected starting lineups heading into training camp. Now, when you're watching this, maybe day one of training camp has happened, whatever. Not sure when I'm publishing this yet, but 15th, okay, I think that's probably fair. I might be a tick higher on it, but top 10 might be a stretch, so I can live with this. For reference, last year they had it 17th, so I would argue improved more than just 2 spots this offseason, but we were probably all a little bit higher on the Bears roster last year than we should have been. As far as the NFC North goes, they had the Lions 3rd, the Vikings 11th, the Packers 14th, and the Bears 15th. I think if you asked me to rank the entire roster of all 4 NFC North teams, I would still go Lions 1. The roster is still loaded. The Vikings roster overall is probably better than the Bears. I would agree with that. I think I'd flip the Bears and the Packers, though. I do think I would flip that. But all 4 in the top 15, going to be a tough division again. I could see all 4 being in the top 10. So going to be very interesting to see how it plays out. We'll break this down in further detail as there's some quotes I want to get into. But we did this video last year. We reacted to this ESPN lineup video last year, and we picked up 3,089 likes. Can we top it this year? Can we get to 3,100 likes on today's show? Prove me wrong, because it's a high number. Not sure you guys can do it. So hit that like button if you want to prove me wrong. Okay. The biggest strength, and this is weird to say, ESPN says the Bears' biggest strength on the entire roster is the offensive line. Here's what Mike Clay of ESPN had to say. He said, could have gone a few directions here, receiver, tight end, defensive back, but Chicago's O-line has a shot to be one of the league's best. That might seem silly considering the Bears allowed a league-high 68 sacks last season. All 3 interior positions were upgraded. Left guard Joe Thuney, center Drew Dahlman, and right guard Joe Jackson. Next to standout tackles, Braxton Jones and Darnell Wright. Standout for Braxton, that might be a stretch, but I hear what he's saying. The interior was clearly the area that needed to be cleaned up. And it's still, I don't know if it's just ghosts of Bears offensive lines past or whatever it is. I haven't seen this group play yet. I'm still it's still weird to say and even believe almost. It's is this actually the best part of this roster? Is the offensive line the strongest position group on this team? On paper, I certainly understand it, because if your biggest weakness is, at worst, Braxton Jones at left tackle, who's been serviceable to above average, you have an all-pro at left guard, you have a top 10 center in Drew Dahlman, you have, if healthy, I think an above-average guard in Jonah Jackson, and Darnell Wright, who I think is ascending tremendously. I understand the thought process behind it. Ozzie Trapillo's in the mix, Karan Amagaji. It's just weird to actually almost believe. You almost just assume something's going to go wrong, and I don't want to put that out there, but we've just seen so many bad offensive lines. But I think about all the position groups. I guess defensive back or receiver, the only ones I would consider. I guess tight end as well, but it's certainly in the mix, if nothing else, so I can't really push back on it too hard. Now, there are questions with the offensive line. This is not just it's guaranteed to be one of the best in the league. You do have to figure out left tackle. Is it Braxton? Is it Ozzie? Is it Karan? And you have to figure out who your backup interior guys are. Because The backup tackles are pretty easy. Whether it's, let's say Braxton wins the job. Okay, Ozzie Trapillo is probably the swing tackle. Cron could be your fourth tackle / maybe you kick him inside. Does he emerge as a backup interior lineman? Do you work him in at guard? Is Ryan Bates healthy? I've got questions there. Doug Kramer, Bill Murray, Luke Newman. You got a lot of question marks there. So you need some depth on the interior. You need a guy or two to emerge. But man, that starting five, it's enticing. Hopefully it comes together and gels the way we hope and think it can. Biggest weakness, running back. Now, my initial reaction is I think edge is a bigger weakness, but Montez Sweat's probably a better player than DeAndre Swift, so they're probably leaning on that. Here's what Mike Clay had to say about the Bears running back room. He said, Chicago's roster is in pretty darn good shape, so this is more about that and less about what is a passable running back situation. DeAndre Swift was busy in his first season in Chicago, finishing top 10 in snaps, carries, and routes, though he was limited to 6 touchdowns and averaged a career low 3.8 yards per carry. Roschon Johnson, 3.7 yards per carry on 136 carries. That's through his career, by the way. Is the primary backup. Could be pushed by 7th-round flyer Kyle Monangai. And, I think the word passable is fair. I think DeAndre Swift will be more efficient behind this offensive line. Now, is he going to go from 3.8 yards per carry to 5? Probably not. Like, give me 4.2, 4.3. I'll live with that. He's not a great vision back, but he's got to kind of limit himself a little bit, right? And not try to hit the home run every time. That's something Eric Bieniemy and Ben Johnson have both spoken at length about this offseason. But even in a down year from an efficiency standpoint, he still put up over 1,300 yards. It's not like the guy was a total bum last year. He's still a good football player. Is Roschon the second guy? Is it Monangai? Those are certainly fair questions. I still think edge is the bigger question mark / weakness overall. But I think Mike Clay said it best. Like, this is a passable group. It's a passable situation. Swift is your primary back. If you just find one other guy that emerges and can be just serviceable, you can live with that this year. And I think that kind of falls into that passable category. So with the improvements on the offensive line, I'll say this. If your biggest weakness is running back and your biggest strength is offensive line, that probably means your running back situation won't be as bad as you think it is on paper, because the offensive line should just create holes for whoever's playing back there. It's kind of a plug-and-play position to a certain extent. So that is the good thing. Whereas last year, Swift probably wasn't as good as we thought he would be, even though he still had good moments, obviously, and the offensive line really struggled. Whereas this year, the offensive line should be pretty damn good, which should help DeAndre Swift and other guys out. Get yourself a Bears cutoff hoodie, 40% off. 40% off. It was $55. It's currently $33. Chatsports.com/Bears hoodie is the link. It's right there. Good looking hoodie. Check it out. I've got one myself. You guys should too. They called Caleb Williams the X Factor, which they self-admitted was kind of obvious, but do want to get into this a little bit. Seth Walder of ESPN saying that Williams can either ascend to meet his potential or continue to scuffle in year 2, which he does will be everything. Williams' rookie numbers were poor, 46.7 QBR, 10% sack rate, 32nd on that, and a negative 1.4 completion percentage over expectation per Next Gen Stats, which was 25th in the NFL. But a year of experience and new head coach Ben Johnson could be enough to unlock Williams into the quarterback the Bears dreamed he would become. And that's the key, right? Certainly Caleb had his flaws last year and, had some bigger accuracy issues at times, and we would have thought, especially on the vertical passes and stuff like that. But he still put up, pretty decent rookie quarterback numbers and, slightly below average, I would say, league QB numbers just from a raw statistical standpoint. Now, held onto the ball too long, didn't take chances often, so there's certainly flaws that have to be cleaned up. But you bring in Ben Johnson, the skill group is good. Most importantly, arguably, outside of Ben, the offensive line should be a lot better. And so there's reason to think that Caleb Williams will improve just also from being in the league for a year. The question is how much, and that's what I keep asking. How much can he ascend? Can he go from being below average to average to above average? Can he be really good? Can he be a top 8 quarterback? Can he be awesome? I don't know. I don't know how much he can jump from year 1 to year 2. I think top 10's on the table. I also think if we looked up at the end of the year and it's like, yeah, he's like the 16th best quarterback, which would still be an improvement, and you'd feel okay about his trajectory. I think if you told me he's somewhere between like 11 and 15, we'd sign up for that. If he's top 10, you're thrilled. Like I think that's what you're hoping for if you are a Bears fan. So this team will go as far as Caleb takes it because it's going to be a better team. How better? How improved? Can they win the division? Those questions are answered based on how much Caleb Williams improves and ascends in 2025. Will Caleb have a true breakout in 2025? Will he take a monster step forward? Type Y for yes, he will, or type in for no, he will not. Non-starter to know, the last thing they kind of broke down before we look at their starting lineup projections. Austin Booker, who is noteworthy because after Montez Sweat and Dio Adengbo, you don't have a true third edge rusher. Austin Booker probably has the best chance to earn that role. Aaron Schatz wrote this up on Booker. He said there's very little depth on the edge, so the Bears will need contributions from Booker, a fifth-round pick in 2024. Booker had 1.5 sacks and 8 pressures last season, according to FTN Data. Charting, that was less production than departed edge backups Darrell Taylor or Jacob Martin. Now, I'm not chomping at the bit to want Darrell Taylor back or even Jacob Martin, but it is noteworthy, and it is a point that we've made, is that the depth at edge, it's just not good. It's not good / not proven. Maybe Austin Booker will be good, but he's mostly unproven at this point. Maybe Dominic Robinson can do something in year 4, but through 3 years, outside of one magical game in his first career game ever, getting 1.5 sacks against Trent Williams in a monsoon, pretty much has done nothing. Daniel Hardy, A, not sure he's a scheme fit, B, more of a special teamer. Is Jamry Chroma, Xavier Carlton, is one of these guys going to emerge and contribute? Seems like a stretch. I've got pretty big concerns about the edge position. To me, if Montez Sweat goes down, that edge group's pretty weak. It's already not great. It's pretty weak if you lose Montez Sweat. Like Dio Adengbo is your best edge. That's a problem. So I still think that's a position I would look to add as training camp goes on here. We'll see if the Bears do so, but if they don't, they need someone to emerge, and I do think Austin Booker is a name to highlight, so I agree with Schatz on that. All right, guys, just take 1 second. Just one to hit that subscribe button. It's free, daily Bears content. It takes not even a second to hit the subscribe button. All right, let's get to the next part of the show here. ESPN projected the Bears starting lineups. We'll do the offense first, and then we will go to the defense. Obviously, Caleb Williams, no real surprises across the board here. DeAndre Swift, DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, Luther Burden. They do project Burden over Zacchaeus as that third receiver. They do have Colston Loveland now. ESPN kind of cheated. They put 12 starters on offense and defense. So you get to this next page here, Cole Kmet. So it's like ESPN. You can't start 3 receivers and 2 tight ends, but hey, they're not X's and O's savants over there, I suppose. Braxton Jones, Joe Tooney, Drew Dahlman, Jonah Jackson, Darnell Wright. They do have Braxton winning that left tackle job, so that is noteworthy. I would love to ask, are you projecting Colston Loveland or Cole Kmet to be your true tight end one? Now, they're both going to play a lot, but that is a question I would love to have answered. Again, they listed 12 starters on offense and defense. I will say this. It's less egregious to put both Loveland and Kmet in there because both are going to play a lot than what they did here. 3 defensive tackles? Are they ever going to deploy, I'm actually serious on this, Grady Jarrett, Jervon Dexter, and Andrew Billings at the same time? Will that happen for a single snap this year? I would guess probably not. So they had those 3, Montez Sweat, Dio Adengbo, TJ Edwards. Now, they're going to rotate a lot, so in terms of like snap share, like I get what they're going for, but they're not starting 3 defensive tackles. Tremaine Edmonds, the other linebacker, the trio of corners, Jalen Johnson, Tyreek Stevenson, Kyler Gordon, and then Jaquan Brisker and Kevin Byard. So kind of the coward's way out from ESPN, but hey, that's why you subscribe to us here. We give you guys the real info. And we react to stuff like this and give our take on it. And my take is 11 players start on offense and on defense. Make a damn decision. How would you grade the Bears roster? A, B, C, D, or F? Let me know. Get the red pen out down in the comment section below. My name is Harrison Graham. If you want more Bears updates and content, go follow me on Instagram, @HGrahamNFL, posting shorts and other posts over there on a daily basis. Producer Colin helping me get some of those clips together over there. So we would greatly appreciate it. Go give me a follow. DMs are open too if you want to talk some shop at HGramNFL. Michael Horowitz with a mini boom. Appreciate the 50 from Michael Horowitz. Michael, I'm going to try and find a time to bring you on. I know you've been chomping at the bit to come back, and you certainly earned that. So we'll work you on at some point during camp for a little Q&A or something. But appreciate the continued support. Show Michael Horowitz some love, and
yeah, get the booms down below. It's almost time for the season. Michael's just a guy, like, he's one of those friends who you don't see every day. And it's sad that you don't see him every day, but when he does show up, it's always a good time. It's always good to see him.
And we do have to give him a boom because he dropped 2 50s.
That's what I'm saying.
So I didn't see that when I first read this. So we're gonna reset here with Michael Horowitz. Boom! Shout out to Michael. Get the booms in the chat.
Waiting for that second 50 to load, but he did say, and that one says, O-line is my X factor.
Yeah, look, if the Bears have a dominant offensive line, that just makes the job so much easier on everyone. The play caller, the quarterback, the running backs. Like it just makes everything function more easier. That's why there's this raging debate right now with Jalen Hurts. Because like ESPN execs, GM, scouts, etc., have him ranked 9th and among NFL quarterbacks, and Eagles fans are up in arms, and it's like, listen, man, and I think I put him 7th on my list. I gave him the benefit of the doubt, but like, flip him and Justin Herbert. You're telling me that Jalen Hurts takes the Chargers to a new level, and the Eagles decline with Justin Herbert? I guess maybe it happens, but like, I'll tell you which team I'm betting on more moving forward if they swap quarterbacks. The Eagles. Like, that's not even a question.
I know Justin Herbert's the big what-if quarterback, but look, I mean, circumstance matters, right? Like, at the end of the day, where you land, who you're playing with, who you're playing under matters. And, credit to Jalen Hurts for being the leader and the player that he is, but as a talent, like, I can't sit there in good faith and say he's a better quarterback than Herbert, for example.
No. Stafford, no way.
Yeah. Any of the big four, obviously.
And look, at some point, the amount of winning you do, like, you have to pay your due and respect. I'm like, listen, like, I ain't putting him in the top 10. Like, I don't think he's a top 10 talent. I just don't. Now, has he overachieved? Is he a top 3 or 5 winner? Like, he's clearly a bigger winner than a guy like Joe Burrow, but like, come on, like, you're not taking him over Joe Burrow. You're not taking him over, like,
we're not having honest conversations. We're doing that.
Yeah. Now, I'm not saying people are taking him over the big 4. There might be idiots on Twitter that say stuff like that, but like, I think you get into that second tier of quarterbacks, and like, I'm sorry, like, if I'm starting a franchise today, I'm taking Justin Herbert over Jalen Hurts.
Nyheim Hines signing with the Chargers. Speaking of the Chargers, I completely agree. And again, like, some of that stuff's hard, but ultimately for Herbert, has he had some shortcomings? Absolutely. Like, he didn't play the greatest in the Texans playoff game last year.
And one thing you would say is Hurts has played better in the playoffs, especially in the Super Bowls that he's gotten to. Now, I would also push back on this because I've heard that a lot. Look at how he's played in the Super Bowls. Well, he played pretty poorly against both Green Bay and the Rams last year.
Yeah.
And Saquon just in the defense carried him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Justin Herbert plays poorly, they lose.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's less pressure on Jalen to play his A game every week. Now, I'll give him credit. In the Super Bowl, he was unbelievable. But, like, I would say he played like C+, B- football prior to the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah.
In the playoffs.
And there is value to playing at your best in the biggest spots and the biggest moments. But like you mentioned, if you don't play your best in order to get there and you're kind of, surrounding cast helps benefit you from that, then you do have to kind of note that. But again,
it's one of those things. It's not his fault.
No.
But he benefits from it.
100%. 100%.
And that's why I like when everybody says Mahomes benefits from Andy Reid and the Chiefs. Of course he does. But this guy has also not only won big game after big game, he has produced massively in a lot of big games.
Massively.
I mean, he's gone toe-to-toe with Josh Allen multiple times and made bigger plays at the end. He's done it. Burrow beat him once in overtime. The next year he came back and beat him.
Yeah.
He's beaten Lamar
Jackson.
consistently.
Yep.
He's
C.J. Stroud when they played, they beat him.
Not even close of who performs better.
Yeah.
Like, it's one
Trevor
of these.
Lawrence, the one time they played. Like,
yeah. Like
not that it's even a discussion, but.
Like, even the first time against the Eagles, the raw stats favored Jalen in that game, but all the advanced metrics, like, the most overblown take is that Jalen Hurts outplayed Mahomes in the first Super Bowl. It's like, hang on a second. Hurts' turnover that led to a scoop and score was probably the difference in the game. Mahomes did not have a key turnover like that. And his efficiency rating, which is like what all the like the McVays, the Johnson, all these like offensive nerd coaches look at, his passing efficiency was far higher in that game than Hurts. Again, Hurts played awesome in that Super Bowl, but like, the point is like Jalen Hurts is a good player who has overachieved based on his talent. I would say overachieved massively. And I would say his greatest skill is his just work ethic and just his mentality. And he's gotten himself this far doing it, and he's probably on a Hall of Fame trajectory because of how much he's won. But, like, he's just not someone I'm starting a franchise with over certain quarterbacks that people are up in arms about that are ranked ahead of him.
The Bears 24, I'm just giving you a warning. Yeah, quit spamming. We'll put you in timeout if need be.
But yeah, I would find value in that, the Bears 24. But yeah, we don't need to spam it 5 times.
Yeah, and look, it's an interesting conversation, and hopefully, Caleb Williams enters those conversations to a degree after the season, right? And to me, like, Hurts is the definition of truly maximizing your talent, but also landing in the ideal situation. Where, again, he's had a top 5 offensive line pretty much throughout his NFL career. He's had Saquon Barkley. He's had A.J. Brown. He's had Devontae Smith. Dallas Goedert's a plus tight end. Like, there's a lot of things.
They always have good defenses.
Yep.
Their owner gives their GM more cash flow than any other team, which allows them to give huge signing bonuses and manage the cap. So they always have again, it's not his fault, but it's like these are just undeniable facts of where you're just evaluating the pure QB play over the course of games and seasons. Like, yeah, I think 9th is fair. Like, I think if anything, like, in terms of just raw talent, he's probably closer to like 15 to 18, but he's won so much over 3 years now. Like, he deserves to be higher up.
Yeah.
Like, he has surpassed, like he deserves to be ahead of the Dax now. Whereas I would say Dak, from a regular season and just, historically playing standpoint, probably looks the part more, but Hurts has surpassed him because he's won at a much bigger rate. Like, if you're in a similar tier, then you lean on, like, okay, this guy's won a Super Bowl now, like this and that. But, like, I'm not conceding the Herbert thing currently. It's kind of the Eli conversation.
I think Herbert, so the way I rank, and again, we don't have to get into a whole quarterback ranking system. Like, to me, Herbert's in that next category under the major 4 with a Matthew Stafford, with a, himself, with a, Kyler Murray you could throw up in there, maybe Jaden Daniels, like that truly difference maker, and Goff could be
Baker,
potentially listed.
They're probably
Baker.
on the low end of that tier.
Right, to that where, again, they're not the elite of the elite guys, but on any given Sunday, they can play with anybody. And to me, Hurts.
Stroud.
Yeah, Stroud could be also mentioned there. To me, Hurts is, he's proven, yes, that he can, elevate at that level, but, I mean, in terms of truly, carrying a team, which, again, it's not his fault that he hasn't had to do that, I don't know if he can do what Justin Herbert did for the Chargers last year in multiple games. I
think if you switch the quarterbacks, the same team wins the Super Bowl. That's the easiest way I can explain it.
Pretty handedly.
And I don't know if the Chargers are a playoff team.
I'd agree.
Maybe they are. The Harbaugh effect.
Yeah.
Harbaugh would probably lean, and they had Greg Roman. He would lean into Jalen. They'd probably still would have been in the mix at least, but, you put Herbert on that Eagles team last year with I mean, Jalen Hurts threw for 2,900 yards last year. What does Herbert throw for in that Eagles offense? $4,000, 4,000. Like they're still going to run Barkley a lot, but Barkley's carries probably go down a little bit, and Herbert throws for 4 to 4,500 yards and probably 35 touchdowns.
Herbert is an A+ leader. He obviously has the mobility to be a dual threat athlete at the quarterback position, and he throws one of the better deep balls in all of football. Like those are 3 things that you can legitimately say about
talking about Hurts. Hurts.
Yeah, Hurts. And even despite all that, he just doesn't, in my opinion, compare to Herbert as a quarterback.
Here's what I would ask, football fans: what is his best physical trait? I would probably say one of 2 things. And this is going to sound like a cheap shot. He's an excellent tush push QB sneak quarterback. And I've said this too. I think if the tush push got banned, it would actually widen the variance for the Eagles, because I still think Hurts would pick up that yard a lot because the guy squats 600 pounds.
Yeah.
So that's a physical characteristic that he has. He's a power runner. And then I would point to the deep ball touch. Those are the 2 physical characteristics that I would say clearly the physical lower body strength, one of, if not the best in the NFL, deep ball touch and accuracy among the best. How many true deep balls do you throw a game, though? That's why the whole Caleb thing, don't get me wrong, it has to improve. You know who the first couple of years of his career was one of the worst deep ball throwers in the NFL? Joe Burrow. Yeah. Why was it not discussed much? Because you throw 1 or 2 a game. Yeah. It's just not a pass in today's NFL. You're not launching. This isn't Madden where you're launching 12 a game. A high end per game would be 3 or 4.
Yep.
You probably, I'd have to go chart this, but I would guess most offenses average between 2 and 3 pure deep balls per game.
You're saying 20+ yards in the air, you'd say, for a deep ball.
Yeah, I mean that. I think the yards thing gets a little tricky because sometimes there's a deep over route that's 22 yards. I wouldn't consider. I would say a route that is more vertical than horizontal.
Okay. So a true go route.
A post, a go, a slot fade, a wheel.
Yeah.
Something that requires you to throw the ball with arc and touch.
Yeah.
Now, occasionally there's
maybe
bullet cover 2 shots that are more flat throws, but you know it when you see it.
Yeah,
is my
point. However long the ball's in the air for it to travel and involve the same.
If you're looking at a Madden play, the routes are something like this or that or like that.
Yeah.
You know it when you see it.
Not a this, where it crosses.
Not a deep over.
Yeah.
I mean, you just don't throw that many of those. So his best throwing characteristic is the least thrown pass in today's NFL.
Yep.
And the other thing is more of a running back characteristic. Again, he has maximized his ability. There's no question. But and we're not even talking about the Bears at this point anymore, but this is what we do. We have fun, we answer questions, and we talk ball. Okay, Michael, speaking of non-Bears, will the Saints tank for Manning? If they do, they're dumb because A, we have no idea how good Arch Manning's going to be, and B, I don't think he's coming out this year. So
get ready to learn Garrett Nussmeier, Saints fans.
Yeah, Garrett Nussmeier. His pops is on staff. He's the OC, right?
Yep.
Kellen's the play caller.
Yeah, so Doug Nussmeier's the OC, and then
Kellen calls the plays.
Yep. By the way, local product too. Went to me in Coops High School. Nussmeier did.
Garrett did, really?
Yep.
He went to Flower Mound, Marcus?
Yeah, he did.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think Arch comes out. I think he'd have to have just a crazy year. He's making a ton of NIL money. The Mannings are smart. There is data that tells us you need at least 2 years of collegiate starting. So if he starts the next 2 years, that would give him 2 years and change because he's played a little bit up to this point, but not much. The track record of guys who were only a 1-year starter having success in the NFL is very low.
Yeah. Not to mention, and again, he comes from the Manning family, but if you're Arch, if you stay, the next 2 seasons, you are the biggest star in college football.
For 2 years.
For 2 years.
He was a top 5 star last year, and he barely played.
Yeah.
I would argue he was outside of Travis Hunter and maybe Shador, was he 3rd?
Maybe.
Just in terms of if you just how many times was his name tweeted? Was his name mentioned out of Brock? He'd be in the top 10 for sure.
More than Ashton Genty, who was having an
Cam
absurd
Ward,
season.
maybe.
Yeah.
But Miami's kind of become this like underground program that doesn't get talked about a ton.
Yeah, even though
Dylan Gabriel, maybe.
Not even. I would say
Yeah.
Arch was talking
Jeremiah
about.
Smith, maybe by the end of the year, certainly. But
Yeah.
He's going to stay in college for 2 years, I would guess. So
And to be honest,
he probably should. He needs reps. He's barely played.
I think if Anthony Richardson could do it all over again, he'd stay at Florida for another year.
Well,
not that it may not have helped.
You say that. Another year of tape, had he not taken a step forward, he's probably not a top 5 pick. He might be a rare case. I've said this about Trey Lance, too. People are always like, well, imagine if he would have just stayed in college. Well, maybe he just wasn't that good. And if he actually went to a good D1 school, he just would not have been good. If you're a top 5 pick, I'm not sure how much you're actually regretting, given how much money you got.
Who knows? If he gets beat out by Daniel Jones this year, you don't think that thought's like at least lingering in his head? I
mean, maybe, but he's also like, well, I got $25 million to come out, but I hear you. These guys are uber competitive, so you might be right.
Yeah,
you might be right.
I mean, because think about it. He was third behind Young and Stroud.
Like is Mitch Trubisky regretting not doing that extra year at North Carolina? He was the number 2 pick.
That's the opposite side of the coin. I hear you.
You know what I'm saying? It's
no, I get you. I hear you.
It's the old strike while the iron's hot.
Yeah. That
it all comes down to what you prioritize. Like,
sure.
do these guys, like the uber competitors would say, yeah, like I should have gone back and done this, done that, whatever. But the other side is like the business side of it is like, well, it's hard to say I would have turned down $25 million if I could redo it. Like a million things could go wrong.
I wonder how much he was making at Florida, but I hear you too.
That was early NIL. I don't know how much.
Yeah.
It's just it's changed that much even just since then.
No, I know. And
I think now, like, if he was in the peak NIL era, I think he would have gone back because they probably would have paid him like $5 million to stay.
Yeah.
Like DJ Lagway, how much is he making?
He's in the, 7 figure? I don't think he's 8 figures, but.
No. He's probably making $4 or $5 million,
yeah.
I would guess.
I would agree.
Okay, Michael, my buddy who's a Saints fan, swears he is going to go this year. I told him he only started 2 games last year. I hear you, Michael, but all the chatter from people in the know, even like the draft experts, like when they start talking about the 2026 QB class, a lot of them don't even include Arch. Now, if he lights it up early, I'm sure, like they're watching film on him, but like Arch is not the focus in draft world because people in the connected to the Mannings are pretty confident that he's going to stay. And I think part of that too is the Manning camp was not that pushy when it came to like, oh, give him a shot over Quinn Ewers this year because it's like this was kind of always the plan. It was like red shirt, learn, play some in your second year, and then start for 2 years.
Yeah, and again, I don't think Quinn Ewers was a great college QB or even going to be a good NFL QB, but there was something to learn going behind Quinn and Sark and everything and learning that kind of process.
Or just handling how to be the quarterback at the University of Texas.
Right, exactly.
I think Quinn did pretty well overall.
Yeah, no, all things considered. And look, I'm interested to see how the kid who lost his ID the first 2 weeks, how he kind of, lives up and everything. I mean, again, with the Manning name, it's going to be a story that we'll cover a lot on 4 Verts, your other channel, and it'll be an interesting thing.
Hopefully, we're not covering it on Bears Now.
I will say this, that would be.
I don't know if I have it in me, man, to have to. Which quarterback are we drafting in 26 or 7? I almost think nothing could happen this year that would lead us to talk about it a lot for the next draft. It would have to. Caleb would have to regress somehow.
Caleb would have to literally turn into Will Levis. For that to even be a discussion.
Yeah, I think he's getting.
If we turn on,
I think he's getting a 2-year runway minimum with Ben.
If it's week 1 and me and Harry are doing the live stream and he throws a falling down little shovel pass over to Dallas Turner,
pitch.
Yeah, for
I might just sign off.
That would just.
You might never see me again.
That would be brutal, to put it mildly. I mean, it's. Yeah,
I just don't even want to go there because it's so just like.
It's so inconceivable.
Demoralizing. Yeah.
I
truly believe last year was the floor.
Yeah.
I don't think it can get worse. Now, we can debate how much better it can and will get, but I think last year was the floor. Okay. We'll end it with this. Appreciate Michael, who came back with the boom today, said the same thing. He needs more time to bake in the oven. Yeah. Give Arch time. I almost think, I said this on Forverts too, I think the hype, it's gotten to the point where it's almost unfair to him. Like, I don't feel bad for him. He's making a ton of money, like this and that. Like,
it's a life he chose. Right?
Yeah, it's not like some detriment, but it's like, it's almost unfair. I mean, when Feinbaum is like, yeah, he's Tim Tebow. It's like, he's played like 4 games, dude. He started 2 games. By the way, he threw multiple picks against Mississippi State in one of those games. Like, let's just see how this goes.
Which, again, we'll reiterate, if you have a take, stand on it, Feinbaum. Don't freaking play defensive, and when you get called out,
oh, yeah. What a fraud. Guy's been in the media for like 40 years.
It's like
just own the take, man.
It was like his first time ever receiving pushback.
Yeah, because he's just been sucking off the SEC for 3 decades, and now like First Take gives him a platform, and people are like, hey, Paul, you just compared him to like one of the 6 best college quarterbacks ever, and he's barely played.
Yeah.
And it's not like he kind of backtracked and was like, oh, I said that's what he could get there. It's like, that's not what you said, dude. You said I think he's Tim Tebow. It's like, no, dude.
Career-wise, Tebow, greatest quarterback collegiate career of our lifetime, you could argue.
Post-2000, he's in the conversation for sure.
That's what I'm saying. Not in throughout history, but...
Yeah, like individual seasons I would take over him, but even as a true freshman, they used him in that short yardage role. He was super good at it. 3-year starter, Heisman winner, Natty as a starter and as the number 2.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, Arch Manning. He's already Tebow.
That's
Jesus. What are we doing?
Yep.
All right, we got to get out of here. Hit that subscribe button. Lots to come. Busy week. Training camp getting rolling. Bear down.